Hey there, thanks for joining us at the Rabbit Hole of Research, where you'll learn a few facts that you can impress your friends with at a party. Hey, welcome back to the Rabbit Hole of Research. Down here in the basement studio, fully crewed up for this episode.
We have a full house.
Full house. We've got me, Joe. We've got Nick.
You got Nick.
We've got Georgia.
Hello.
And we have a special guest here.
You got Molly.
We got Molly there. Yeah, so look at that. Every mic is occupied.
It's hot.
Nice, yeah. Yeah, hot and popping.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's going on today, Joe? What are we talking about?
We're going to talk about strange and weird plants. I think that's it. That's wonderful,
Strange
lovely,
and wonderful, weird plants.
You know, photosynthesis, all that good stuff.
Our special guest has some show and tell stuff for our video subscribers.
For the video subscribers.
For all your subscribers
I don't know.
that you can't see right now because we don't have video set up. But if you could it would be really cool.
We'll have pictures if you subscribe to the Substack newsletter. The email that usually has all the pictures and stuff in it from the episodes. If we put it in there, and the artwork, that's done.
So we should have Molly introduce herself.
Yeah, why don't you
introduce
yourself?
My name is Molly. I am a plant lover. I have a plant store. Started off with forestry. I was interested in forestry growing up. A different kid because instead of playing with Barbies, I was playing hunter and gatherer in the woods and trying to figure out how to survive when I was like 7.
Wait, so you were playing like witchcraft in the forest, right? Like...
Essentially. Have you ever seen the show Alone?
Yeah.
Where they like strain people? That was like what I played for fun
at my parents' house.
And then got older, loved forestry, and then loved plants, and then ended up going to school for film, which is super random, but loved that, and then made a complete jump and opened up a plant store about a year ago. And here I am.
And where is your plant store?
Yeah, it's in downtown Crown Point, Indiana. We call it the Square, just a stone's throw from Square Roots if you've ever been there. So,
what's the name of your shop?
The name of my shop is called The Piper and the Plant. Yeah, a little tidbit is I'm a bagpipe player and love plants, and I wanted something that was catchy, so we call it The Piper and the Plant.
I love it.
Competitive bagpipe playing. I learned all about that.
This is true. This is true. If you didn't know that playing bagpipes competitively is a thing, it is definitely a thing. Maybe not super popular, but it is a thing.
That's awesome.
Cool. Awesome. And you brought along a special beverage.
I did.
We usually talk about the beverages towards the end, or we forget, but it's by the Martin House Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
We're all sipping on the same thing today.
Best made. It's a sour pickle beer. So this is going to be a live tasting. And if you're fans of the show, you know what happened. The last live tasting we had of the world's strongest beer.
Scared.
So, all right. On the count of 3, let's do it.
Okay.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
3.
Ooh. Ooh.
Oh, man.
That is pickle.
It is like drinking a pickle.
Wow.
Which I guess that's what you would expect
that's
for
brisk,
a
baby.
sour pickle beer.
None of you did a little sneak taste? Am I the only one that was
You're the
No,
you
we did it.
previewed it.
Yeah, but
We do it for the
But
rabbit
you're-
hole of research, the name of science. We went for it.
your preview
Yeah.
kind of gave me an idea what to
I
expect.
mean, if you like pickles and you like beer,
I don't know if you'll
This might be
necessarily
the,
want them together.
Ooh.
this might be it for you. Yeah.
What do you think, Molly? How are you feeling about this?
I'm crying already watching everyone.
Do you have your pickle beer chaser?
Honestly, it's in my purse now. I'll get it.
I didn't even
I'm not
bring
sure.
anything else.
But
so.
I do love the artwork. I love
Joe, do you
the...
want
Great art.
You want to chase it?
No, I'm fine. I'll live. I'm tempted to have another sip, but let's get going. And talk about plants, pickle. The pickles are made from cucumbers. I've been fermented.
Do you have a
A
list?
little bit. I have lists and I have a definition. It's a definition of a plant.
Okay.
You want to do that?
Let's start with the
Wanna start
definition.
with
I don't know what a plant is.
You don't know what a plant is?
I've never seen a plant.
Enlighten us, Joe.
Yeah, plants are multicellular, photosynthetic eukaryotes in the kingdom Planta, characterized by cellulose-based cell walls, chloroplasts with chlorophyll A and B, and they produce oxygen through photosynthesis, the model for gas exchange, and vascular tissues in most groups. Land plants include mosses, ferns, conifers, and flowering plants, and they are distinct from but closely related to green algae, especially charophytes. Plants are among the most ecologically versatile life forms on Earth. Wherever there is even a slither of light, water, and a surface to anchor, even in extremes like hot springs or Antarctic moss beds, you'll find plant life or their close relatives. So that's to get it started.
So are we also going to, like, sea plants are also on the table, right?
Sea plants are,
Yeah.
That's
And
right.
they are still considered plants?
They would still be considered plants, yeah. No, you could still have those there in the aquatic kind of environment, water lilies, sea ferns, things like that, yeah.
All right, I'm going to throw a weird one out there right away.
Go for it.
Coral. Is it a plant?
Coral is not a plant. It is an animal, but it actually forms a symbiotic relationship with a photosynthetic organism. So that's there. But it's technically itself isn't a plant. And I think it's I'm trying to think.
But it is a living.
Yeah, it's an algae.
Living being.
Yeah. So the algae that lives in it it's a dinoflagellate algae in their tissues.
What?
That's wild.
What's that?
Wait, what is it? What was that word you
A
said?
dinoflagellate.
A flagellate.
Yeah. So it's like do
you have a definition
Or
of this?
they're photosynthetic protists. They're related to like diatoms.
Oh,
so-
that clears it up. Thank you.
Probably
yeah.
familiar with
Thanks,
diatoms. I
Joe.
was
With
so lost
diatoms,
before
they
that.
usually
Molly, do you know what
most
a
people-
diatom
Yeah,
is?
of course. It's
Diatoms,
flagellate's
yeah.
cousin.
diatoms they have a silicon or glass-like coating. Like they usually have the cool picture. They look weird, like spokes and things coming off of them.
Just rocks.
And
No?
it's actually a living organism. The other place you would see it is diatomaceous earth. So if you ever use that in the garden, or if you got to get rid of a yellow jacket nest in the middle of your
I
yard.
can't imagine having to do
would-
that.
you
I
could
can't
use
imagine
that.
stepping into a.
And so yeah, it's just because
Just use gasoline.
hive.
when you crush up the diatoms, it's like kind of glass. I mean, it's like kind of just the silicate there, so you have that material.
Are you recalling this just by memory, or are you reading this? This is impressive.
Mostly it's memory, but I do have some notes that I am looking at and making sure I don't get too far off my own track. But yeah, no, diatoms. I didn't have this in her.
Just came off. He was just like, yes.
Like so many images of them. Those were like diatoms.
And we'll have
look
these
like.
in the footnotes.
We could put these in the show notes, yes. So these are like what diatoms look like. They're like little creatures like that.
Gross.
Wow.
And then you can have them.
And I get that on my hands? Ew.
So this was like close up of that. Yeah, no, it's cool stuff. A coral, yeah, not quite. I mean, they are a symbiotic relationship. So they would go into the sort of kind of plant related, but not a plant.
Like a plant adjacent.
a plant adjacent. Same thing with
So
like.
coral is plant adjacent is what we came down to. That was to answer
Well,
my question.
it is right. It's just like you have the giant clams that have a symbiotic algae kind of relationship to the green sea slug. They have a symbiotic relationship, and actually they will steal the chloroplast from the algae and incorporate it into their own tissues. So it's one of the few examples of a photosynthetic animal that's using some sort of photosynthetic relationship there.
Are all vegetables considered plants?
Are all vegetables considered plants?
Would be the
I'm gonna go yes.
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I think I'm
I mean, I
thinking
don't-
like
That's like a trick question. I don't know what's happening.
there's fruits versus vegetables.
A different argument. They're
I
all
know,
Oh my
but they're
gosh,
all
yeah.
plants.
plants. They're all plants. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there are any vegetables that aren't plants. I don't know.
Are there any vegetables, though?
I don't know. I don't want to get into vegetables.
Can we get into that argument?
No, I don't want
Are
to.
vegetables real?
Vegetables are real. Eat your vegetables out there, kiddos.
So you said you had a list as well.
You have sorts of lists. But
Oh my gosh, all sorts of lists. Do you have one primary list?
I have a super fun list. I have a list about the best plants to grow during a zombie apocalypse. But we can put a pin in that.
Before we go
Do
with
you
that,
really?
Molly, can you tell us what you brought for us
Oh,
today?
yes. Okay, so I come bearing little gifts for you guys hosting. So these are called living stones.
What?
It's very hard to describe, but the first time I saw these, I was like, what am I saying? The best way to describe them is if I saw an alien's butt, this
Which is exactly what I brought up.
what truly it looks like maybe a butt cheek of an alien. Look them up. They're called living stones.
Which we'll have in the footnotes as well.
Yep.
Show notes.
Yep. Exactly.
And we're going to put that on Instagram, maybe? Oh.
We can put it on there,
I don't know. We'll see.
And so those are succulents?
Yes. And feel free to chime in too when you know anything. But just from the research I've done, they're in the succulent family. I saw them for the first time maybe about 6 or 7 months ago and was just like, what is this? I guess I think they're native to the desert, and they trick people into thinking they're stones or the rocks. So yeah, they split and it's super slow growing. So I have one and it's like barely is grown, but I think it's one, if you can picture essentially butt cheeks. I don't know how else to describe this.
Like little
polished stones splitting. The new leaflet comes in between.
Oh, wow.
But they only split, so far mine split once. So they are super slow growing, but super interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool.
Native to Southern Africa. Lips. Lithops is the common name and it's genus name, so it's both. So nice. But yeah, living stone, they just to camouflage themselves, you can imagine, in these environments. So
we have a lot of hidden chicks.
Yeah.
We planted them out in along our house. But I remember the first year that they actually, all of a sudden, they just shoot up this strange looking thing. And then it's very hard to do this without visuals.
It's inflorescence. That's its flowering body. Right?
Thank you, Joe.
It's doing some reproduction or trying to. Yes,
and that comes out. And then, they're just the oddest things. Yeah, it's really cool, though.
Yeah. My father-in-law has been growing them for a while in his garden beds. And I heard that these were the only types of succulents that actually survive in cold weather. So,
that's interesting. Wow.
Yeah, they're perennials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they've actually done really well, and they keep
multiplying.
Yes. I can't think of those fancy words, but
they get busy.
But it's
Yeah, no. So, yeah.
I did green.
I'm not gonna lie. Looking at these, I just right away was thinking of Little Shop of Horrors. I'm just waiting for one of them to start going.
Yes.
Audrey.
2.
2 or 3?
2, right?
Was it 2?
Yeah.
Where was the third?
I don't know why I thought there was a third Audrey.
How many plants has Rick Martinez made? Rick Moranis?
Nice.
What?
Very.
We got some
Okay,
visuals
so
here.
I did some research on some of the strangest and most unusual plants I could find.
Mm-hmm.
And
look
here,
like a naked man.
So have fun describing this to everyone, what you're seeing. But yeah, so the first one is the living stones, which is what I brought today, which are the stones. And then, of course, Venus flytrap, which is shout out to Little Shop of Horrors. Anyone who knows that. And then the third one, actually, I had somebody come into the store and they're like, I'm looking for the little naked man. And I had no idea what this was.
Come on.
Yeah, I had no idea what this was, but it's an orchid. And I think it's native to areas like near Italy is what I found. And they literally look like little naked men. It's super wild.
They look like they're from another planet.
I love these. This is a very cool thing.
And I've seen this monkey face orchid. Like I've seen pictures of it. I haven't actually seen one, but that's so cool.
Yeah, the monkey face is a neat one too. It's uncanny how some of these plants literally looks just like a monkey's face. It's pretty wild.
Does.
And then I didn't know this, but looking into this, the Demogorgon, actually, Stranger Things, I was wondering if there was maybe looking up some movies and wondering if there's connection to certain plants. And I think it's called the Stapelia. That is what I think might have been some of the inspiration to the Demogorgon.
I
can totally see it.
Yeah, we'll throw this all in the show notes so people can check it out and look along.
This is a very visual episode.
I know, right? We don't have the video is not set up yet. We're 50% of the way there. I don't know. Putting a percentage on it.
Something we've been promising since the very early season 1.
Yes. Yeah, no. So it's cool. I was going to say that plants, they fall into 2 kind of categories. We have flowering plants and then non-flowering plants. So angiosperms are flowering plants. Probably mostly familiar with those. Your vegetables would all be flowering plants. Roses, grasses, orchids, wheat, you name it.
Georgia,
oak trees.
Vegetables or plants?
Vegetables or plants.
Stop.
Yeah, so they usually have the classic kind of male stamens with the pollen, anthers, and then you have the pistil, the female organ there. So that's that one. And then, so they first appeared about 140 million years ago, right?
Wait,
and then
plants?
the flowering plants.
Okay.
Before the flowering plants were non-flowering plants, which still exist. So those would be ferns, mosses, liverworts, cones, like conifers.
How about
the Venus-
cactus?
So cactuses would be flowering plants. They actually do flower and they actually
They
produce
do.
a fruit. And
That
all
is
that.
true.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Most plants that
I
you're
don't know
familiar
if
with
I've
would
seen
probably be-
flowers on all cactus, but
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
probably just not the right place
that's
at the
right, yeah,
right
you're not-
time.
There's
my
research on
very
that, yeah.
limited.
Yeah,
my
no.
very limited. I did grow up in Arizona, so
Wait, so how
I
do
do
you,
that. What?
wait, so you've never seen cactus fruit?
No, I have.
Okay.
But I'm saying I've seen some cactus that I've never seen fruit on.
Oh, okay.
You know what I
was
mean?
right,
Like
I
a
mean, yeah.
saguara. Have I seen fruit on
I
saguara?
don't know what you've seen.
I know, but it's
then-
very common.
Sure, yes.
Okay, now
It
I'm
will
gonna
fruit.
I'm
They
gonna
do-
have to look
yes,
up
yes.
like what's the fruit look like.
I think
on a
I want
saguara.
to say that they. And I'll look this up and do that bit of research, but I think they may flower before they get an arm. I think like you. I think they get an arm like
Oh, it's
decades.
100
yeah, I mean,
years
it's
or something.
50 yet. I mean, I don't
Maybe,
know.
yeah.
But I
I'm
think they will
totally
flower, yeah.
just throwing
Yeah,
that
yeah.
out there. But when you
I know
see
you are,
those
yes.
with all those arms, it's like
Yes.
they're
Yeah, it's been
really
out there
old.
for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're from Arizona. Are you familiar with the prickly pear cactus?
Oh yeah.
That's right.
Did you know that they are actually growing in the Indiana Dunes? Prickly pear cactus.
That is
Really?
interesting.
Yes, I'm not joking. I went
That
for a
is very-
hike, saw like little stakes where they were marking, and I was like, that looks like a cactus.
Yep.
And it was prickly pear cactus.
Wow, that's
Pretty wild.
Our neighbor
interesting.
had prickly pears in their front lawn kind of garden for a while.
Right.
It's gone now, but they had
Right.
a bunch out there, and that was like, yeah, no.
Yeah, it's wild. I was at work and someone was telling me about how some version of cactus, they were using it in their garden beds. It's just wild to think that they're maybe the dunes, right? That feels like it makes a little bit more sense with all the like the sand. Yeah, but in a garden bed, I don't quite understand. So
Yeah, it's all soil type, but the plants, if they're happy, I don't think it necessarily has to be sand. If you look at cacti in the
cactus
desert,
get
right there,
sad?
right, they get sad.
You said if they're happy.
I mean,
Yeah, I
in-
think he means
in
like
terms of
thriving, growing,
not their
and,
emotional
like-
state. That's
Do they have emotions?
I
But
don't know,
see,
that's
I
gonna
think
be
that's a whole
that's gonna be
other.
another
That's a
episode
whole
when we're
other
planning a plant
discussion.
intelligence episode. That's a little in the future, but yeah, we'll touch on that. But just to circle back on the non-flowering plants, the mosses, liverworts, most in ferns, which are like unkillable. If you ever have a fern that you need to get rid of, you can. You kill it, then it comes back like weeks. But they're the plants probably most people would associate with like dinosaurs. So 470 million years ago, moss and liverworts. The gymnosperms about 300 million years ago. The ferns 400 million years ago. So if you have a Jurassic Park scene, this is what should be there. It should be ferns, like in mosses and liverworts, and then gymnosperms are conifers, so pine trees with the needles, so just structured. They look very different. So that's something to think about there. And so they were when you went from algae, water, and then to terrestrial plants, like this would be the first step in these types of plants here. That would be at that prehistoric kind of Jurassic kind of period, and then you would get to flowering plants after that. And then they quickly filled every niche. There's flowering plants, as I said, in every niche you can think of, there's flowering plants. So those are what we've come to associate as plants.
Do you know how many different types of plants there are?
I don't know.
Hey, Nick, I stumped him.
Yeah, no, I don't
noticed.
know. I would venture, if I had to venture a guess, I would
More than 12.
definitely more than 12.
12 billion.
In the tens of thousands. I don't know if it rivals insect species, but I would say that.
Yeah.
Would a Venus flytrap be under flowering or non-flowering?
Flowering,
Yeah?
yes.
Oh, is it because of those?
So yeah, I'll get back to that. That was way off. That was off a little bit. Scientists estimate that there are roughly 390,000 plant species
Is that-
Wow.
out there. Yeah.
That's a low number.
Species. Yeah.
390,000.
Yeah,
Pretty big. That's a
I
number.
felt like it could have been a lot bigger.
That's
but,
a lot of.
But if you think about
That's
that,
not the number
lot.
of actual
Yeah.
plants.
That's
That's
the
a number of
of
species,
types.
right?
I don't
Yeah.
know. I feel like that's a low number.
All right, Nick, the plant census over here.
I'm just saying. It just feels like they're cutting it short. Someone's being a little lazy with their counting.
So yeah, I forgot the Venus flytrap. I'm putting a pin on that, and Nick's downplaying plants numbers here. But just to swing back, the ginkgo trees,
Yes.
that's essentially known as a living fossil, and it's a non-flowering plant, so it goes into these kind of ancient plant species. But it's been the same for hundreds of millions of years. There, so we always have these things like you think of the horseshoe crabs. That's a living fossil, but plants also have living fossils also. So the ginkgo would be that one of those examples. So,
But also, you were going to say something about the Venus flytrap.
yeah, it's really cool, and the mechanism that Nick is making the noise of.
Sound effects.
I know the Foley artist over here. Yeah, I think it's still not quite understood how that mechanism works. And actually, when I was doing my postdoc, there was a person in my lab doing some research on how the flytrap, it excretes things to actually digest proteases and things like that. And how do they take that into the cells and that kind of transaction after closing? What is that mechanism and how the triggers work and things like that? There's still people looking into that because it is fascinating.
Is
Yeah.
there more plants that eat things? Like, I don't know.
Plants that
Right.
eat things. Yeah,
Like-
there's quite a few that would.
I'm just shocked that
Yeah,
Venus flytrap is
Yeah.
like the most common one
Yeah,
where it's
I
like,
think the other one is like the pitcher plants.
Yeah,
Oh,
pitcher
what?
plants.
Pitcher plants
That's right.
are, yeah. So pitcher plants, their flowering parts like a pitcher, and usually they would have nectar. Like on the smaller
right.
side, they have a little nectar
right. I
or
remember
things
seeing this.
or a particular
Yeah.
scent. And a lot of it is, so plants use different scents. To flowering plants, you need something to help you pass your materials around. And that could be wind, so you could be wind pollinated. You could be insect pollinated, bees, honeybees. Bats can be
Birds.
used like birds. So you have different hummingbirds that get close and they get the pollen on them. Then they go visit another plant and disperse that pollen. So carnivorous plants, they kind of they aren't reliant. They're not a strict consumer, but they're usually doing it to supplement nitrogen, low nutrient environments. So you collect something. And so the pitcher plants, they will use scent to attract things not to do pollination, but to actually trap and digest and use its
Yeah.
resources as
Wow.
nutrients. And actually some of the pitcher plant species, they're big enough that they can trap and digest the small mammals,
Yeah.
like little mice and things like
So
that. So
there's a plant that smells like really bad, and
doesn't it
then
smell like corpse?
Yeah, the
The
corpse.
corpse, yeah.
Yep. The
is
corpse
that
plant.
for that reason, or
Yeah, whatever pollinator, it's pollinators. Yep,
Well,
that's exactly
yeah.
why. So do they have that scent to attract like crane flies? I think that are attracted to rotted meat and things like that. So
The ginkgo, when I used to walk on Kansas, actually the ginkgo trees have this strange, just off-putting smell. There's always like a certain time of the year, it just had this odd smell. And I'm wondering,
Yeah,
same thing.
yeah.
So,
oh,
yeah, it's wild. When I was looking into the plants, all these were like, oh, it comes from South Africa or Europe. And the Venus flytrap, I was surprised because it actually is grown in the Carolinas. I was surprised by that, to think that this is something that's in the States. So it's just kind of wild to think.
that's where it was originally from.
I don't know if it's originally from there, but I saw that it currently is like grows just like freely in the
That's
Carolinas.
interesting.
no, Venus flytraps are cool plants. Yeah, the cobra lily was another pitcher plant that formed. It looks like a cobra, like a rearing cobra, is its head, and it has forked leaves to give that effect. But interesting, it can regenerate from the roots, so it's fire-resistant roots, and so it could
What?
actually regenerate from its roots. Yeah. So pretty cool how that happens. And then the other plant, it was on my list, is the dead horse arum, and that's the one that attracts the carrion flies. That smells like rotted flies. Yeah, no, it's
Wow, I do
yeah.
think these plants could definitely make it into a horror movie.
Yeah, I'm telling
yeah.
Hey,
yes.
Georgia,
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I know. I feel like you're the expert on this.
Oh, I can't even imagine what that would be. Oh, Twilight Zone? Is that what episode?
No.
Are you a Twilight Zone fan?
Yes.
Me too.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
see?
gosh. Are we best friends?
I know. Here it is.
Like huge. Seen all of them.
Yeah, you can ask these guys.
Yeah, usually
She's
every
never seen a
episode,
single
yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
Shush.
Okay, did you ever, not to steer away from plants, but did you ever get into Alfred Hitchcock?
I love Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh boy.
I'll get you. I
Okay,
made an Alfred Hitchcock coloring book. Are
you serious?
I'll see if I can round one out for you.
All right, Georgia.
Okay. Yes.
If there's a plant that eats living things, as a vegetarian, can you eat that plant?
Gosh,
Well, technically, that's a
mean,
loaded question. Because technically, when something dies and decomposes, it releases its nutrients into the earth, and then the plant grows there, and that's what you're.
But you said
really,
that one plant.
But he's
small.
saying
I
that,
said it digests. It's digesting it for its nutrients. So it's not
It's eaten.
eating is.
yeah, I don't think I'm that hardcore about my.
So you would eat it.
But that's a pass through, right? You're still eating. I guess it's why you're eating vegetables or vegetarian or
Why are you not eating animals?
Eating animals, exactly.
So
I feel like the odds of you eating a plant that eats something else.
I'm just.
pretty low.
I don't know. If I could find one and cook one for you, I
Plants
might.
Well, he's gonna go
Please,
out
but
and
I'm
find
special.
one. Just to,
Molly, you find it, I'll cook it.
You've got it just for you.
I don't know. Yeah. You gotta be careful though. These plants.
I don't know if these are edible
You shouldn't be.
plants.
You should not. Please, as a warning, do not just random plants in your
Nick,
mouth.
don't try to kill me. Come
yes.
on.
And I mean, there's been historically plants used for that very reason to poison. And actually, that was another list I had. I thought it was a fun list to go through. We're familiar with wolfsbane. That was referenced, or hemlock. Socrates fell victim on that one. Deadly nightshade. Which a deadly nightshade family, they include tomatoes, potatoes, tobacco, peppers. They're all in that family. So yeah, but don't eat tomato leaves because you ever rub them with your finger, they have that very aromatic, bitter smell. It's a nice smell. Like tobacco leaves.
I like it. I have hand soap.
A nice
in
smell, yeah.
Smell, so it's afraid.
Foxglove. That one causes like heart failure.
Yeah, you have to be careful because of pets, right?
Yeah, so honestly, when people come into the store and they're looking for something specific, the truth of it is, if I don't know, it's a no. It's knowing your plant. I hear people come in, my plant or my cat or my dog will nibble, and is this okay? And I'm like, I can't guarantee it. There's a lot more to plants than the amount it consumes. I've worked with plants before in the shop where I'll be repotting, and I was working with ficus, and I broke a stem and it rubbed in my arm, and I had a rash appear. And so it was interesting. First time that's happened. But I mean, people, I think sometimes people don't realize, all the stuff that comes from it.
I know. There's quite a bit. And you were mentioning dose. That's the LD50. We talked about that on the other episode.
What's that?
The LD50 is the.
Were you here?
Were you here for that episode? No. It's the dose at which a population, I think, is usually mice when these numbers were established.
Oh,
so you had 100 mice. Like this is the dose that 50% would die, and so that's the LD. So everything has an LD50. Coffee.
So you'd
sugar,
have to eat a lot.
Yeah. So some things you have to eat a lot more of.
Or even water. You can ingest too much water.
Yeah, there are.
Oh,
yes,
right.
you
Drowning
can.
on land.
Yep, you can. Some fun one. The water dropwort or dead tongue is one there, and it causes violent seizures, lockjaw, and then death. It was used in assassinations in the Roman Empire. And one of the things is that if you are being poisoned by this, you'll have a sardonic grin on your face right before you die.
Smile.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was cool. No.
Wait, what's the name of this one?
That was the dead tongue, or that's his common name, or the water hemlock. It's a poison hemlock water dropwort. Yeah, so that one's fun. Castor bean. Think about that. And people take castor oil as a laxative, but the problem is that the bean is deadly if it's chewed or swallowed, not the extracted oil. So you can get that out. So once again, there's plants that were used, and this was allegedly used in Cold War assassinations. People, they would do this with castor beans. So there's a few fun ones. And you have the Jimson weed or the devil's trumpet, causes hallucinations, delirium,
That
and
sounds
death
fun.
in high doses. And
Wait, only in high doses?
In high doses. And it was used as a zombie drug in criminal activities in some countries. Now its use. So they would do it. They would use it in shamanic rituals, and they would slip it into food and drinks to incapacitate people.
Devil's trumpet.
The devil's trumpet. That's right.
Sneaky.
Not to be confused with the devil's lettuce.
It's a fun plan too, guys. Like,
I was going to say, talking about like medicinal plant use.
No, yeah, that's you get
There's
that
probably
line.
a lot of different plants, but we really think of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
Is there other plants that have similar properties, but for whatever reason they didn't get popular?
A number of plants with like cool names like thunder godvine.
hell yeah.
It's highly toxic and it has a narrow therapeutic window, but it's proposed in traditional Chinese medicine to help with autoimmune disease and arthritis. That was when I was visiting the Nanjing.
Is that what we had in our bedroom?
What?
I don't know
What's going on over there?
Don't have-
Pardon?
You got that thing that you hang, and it's
Yeah.
supposed to give good
I think
health.
that just
Is
I
that,
was from
like-
China. Yeah,
Yeah, was
I
that a
think that had
plant?
the. I was there at the
Sounds more exciting
the
than it was.
Nanjing. It just had like lavender, I think, in it. It was
lot
like
of
the.
visuals.
It
a lot
was
of
some other
visuals.
thing though that you said it was some,
Yeah,
and it was supposed to
right.
have some certain quality of.
This was at the Nanjing Pharmaceutical College or University. I'll put that in the show notes. And I gave some lectures there, and then got a tour, and they actually have a lot of the archival recipes, and they actually have a collection of all these plants preserved. Because some of them, as you go and you have urban spread, you begin to lose some of these plants that may hold particular medicinal treatments. And so they have all these kind of plants and preserved. And then they have documentation like that. Oh, this was help. This was given help. This is that. And they had all the books there, and they showed what a traditional shop would be like. So they have this whole little museum. It was really cool to see that because we don't think about botanical medicines and pharmaceuticals in that way, especially here in America. We go to a drugstore. It's not like they're going to scoop out some powder, some crushed devil's claw.
That
for
would,
them.
I
That
would
would be
feel
so
like that would be
cool.
so much cooler.
That helps with arthritis and lower back
Can I
pain.
start going to you for this,
You know.
Molly?
It's a southern African sand-adapted desert plant. Get some
Devil's
devil claw down
Oh my
there at
gosh,
Molly's.
wait. I think I've seen this.
Yeah, see it. You got it down
It
there.
actually looks like a devil's, claw.
Yeah.
If you look at it, they're super
I
uncanny.
don't have a picture of it, sorry.
Aw.
We can get one.
If you like, there are
Yeah.
these two little like hoof horns. This is so wild. I just saw a picture of this the other day. There was a girl in the desert and it was like, what incarnation is this? And it's a devil's claw. And yeah, really interesting. It looks like two little prongs.
It kind of looks like that thing.
Oh, more than one, more than
Yeah,
That
it
two
has
prongs.
more than one.
Yeah.
It looks like,
Like a
a
claw.
gnarly hand.
It looks like it's going to prick me.
Yes.
It looks like it's sharp. If you step on it with a bare foot,
Maybe
it's
would
going to
hurt.
hurt.
It
Maybe
would
Nick,
hurt.
you get some dragon's blood.
Hell yeah.
That's the other. It's a moon
Isn't that a
healing
beer?
and anti-diarrhea.
Healing and
Amazon-
anti-diarrhea.
Yes, yes.
Well,
Amazonian
what do you
tree
want?
sap.
That's all I ask
Yeah.
for in my life.
Just for
It's a bright red
constant daily.
We all may
latex-like
need it
resin
after
that you
this
take
pickle
it.
beer.
You know what I just flashed into my mind? Do you guys remember that I Love Lucy episode, Vegemite or Veg? But she was like doing the commercial and she kept
For
taking.
a Vegemite sandwich?
No, it was like a liquid, but it was supposed to be like medicinal. But she kept taking spoonfuls of it, and then by the end, she was like so drunk she couldn't even speak. Cause you guys don't remember that? Oh,
It was a
What the
little
fuck?
before my time.
oh, come on! There's such thing as reruns.
Reruns.
I'll have to look that episode up. I'll
Another
put that in.
fun symbiotic organism. Nick, you touched on this earlier. We got into the sea slug and coral, but lichens. Lichens is a symbiotic relationship between fungus and usually some sort of green algae or cyanobacteria.
So is fungus considered a plant?
Fungus
No,
is not a plant.
that's a
no,
whole
really?
other
Yeah, it's
thing.
its own. Yeah, it's its own.
I
thing.
didn't know if like where the crossover begins. Is that
And what
there's
have we
not-
done a fun
A fungi
fungi
episode? No, we have not done a fungi episode. Maybe
we
talked about a
talked
little
about
bit.
The Last of
Cordyceps,
Us.
right? Cordyceps
But
came up. Yeah.
I think that is fascinating.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah, and I think that they are
plants off. So yeah, you have
like you can't imagine how many different.
Not even going to guess now. So
Yeah,
Can you give me an
we're-
exact number?
no, I'm
But
not.
we're gonna save that for the fungus
Yes,
episode.
we'll save that for that one. But yeah, that's another one there. And lichens, once again, they can from the Arctic tundra to bare
Now,
rock in
is
the
the
desert.
lichens the ones that if you see them on trees, you know that the air quality is
That's right.
pretty
They're
good?
really sensitive to pollution. So that's why in the cities you don't generally see a lot of lichen growth. But as you get away from cities, you'll start seeing it. So lichens are cool. You see it grow and stuff. That tells you that you got some clean air around. So it is nice when you go. But yeah.
So
All right.
what?
Oh, go for it.
Oh no, I was gonna say. So what made you want to study plants when you were little?
I don't know. I guess I don't think about it.
Did you play alone in your backyard?
I didn't know. I think my mom always tells a story. I don't know, 2 or 3, I don't know, old, and we were in the park, and a storm had upturned a tree, and I told her I wanted to be a plant surgeon, a tree surgeon, or something like that.
Not where I thought this was going.
That's-
That was.
I thought you were going to be like, I went and licked that tree.
No, I didn't lick the tree. And then when I was in high school, I worked in the lab, Dr. Jench's lab, on the effects of ultrasound on prenatal mice. And it was fun. Spent about a year there doing these experiments with, doing experiments with mice, and
Oh, I thought you were doing experiments with that
I'm
water.
not. And then at the end, I was graduating, and it was like, oh, you can come down. And we had these groups. So from pups, pretty much had raised and tested, doing these kind of like different tests on these mice to test for, I guess, intelligence or their wherewithal. And but they were going to sack some mice, and they're like, oh, you want to come down and see this? And then we got to weigh organs, and I thought, okay, yeah. But when I got there, they were actually starting to dissect my favorites out of the groups, and so I was really sad,
Yeah.
and I was like, I don't
So
want to
sad.
work on animals,
Oh,
and so I went to
yeah.
plants, and so that was the nudge towards plants. And then when I was at Penn State Barron in Mike Campbell's lab, I did research on plants, on a tumor plant staff, interest-specific crosses of tobacco that forms tumors. Very similar. It's almost like a cancer. So under stress or wound injury, they would then have this accelerated overgrowth and form these little nodules that would be look like a cancerous growth.
And what kind of trees?
These are tobacco.
Tobacco.
Tobacco, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's why I was just speaking of like animals and sad things. Actually, I actually don't know how true this is, but I was reading about grass. Have you heard about, they say when you mow your yard, the smell of grass is actually supposed to be the screams of grass, which sounds so
I heard that
sounds
too.
so dramatic.
Yes.
But it's the chemical that is released to alert other
That's right.
blades
That's something's
grass.
eating the grass. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
they have a lot of research now that similar pain receptors that we have as humans, because we think of ourselves on the neurological scale of animals to be the superior. And so when you have pain, you take aspirin, things like that, to actually dampen the effect, the signaling that you're in pain. So if you take a plant and you injure it, and then you give it aspirin, it will actually then also downregulate its wound response genes, similar to in humans. So it would actually have similar effect that it has. Plants are extremely complex and have these
Yeah.
signaling factors that it's using. As an immobile organism, it has to alert everyone else that, and that's where you start. It starts doing chemical warfare. Like, okay, something's eating us. Let's produce something that tastes bad, bitter. So whatever's eating will stop. So you might get munched on, but okay, you sent me the signal. I got it. And now I'm going to go and make this compound potentially. And then when I start getting munched on, that thing will stop and not munch on us again because it doesn't know if we're triggered. So I think that's really fascinating, some of the ecological warfare that goes on at the kind of chemical molecular level.
Isn't some plants, when they're like being eaten, some plants release that chemical that attracts bugs bigger than them to
They can,
eat
yeah.
them?
The pheromones and heart, So they send out pheromone signals
Yeah.
to actually even recruit, you're right, can recruit other things that come in that whatever's eating them doesn't want to deal with. So it's,
Yeah.
Let's do that. I know it's a very complex.
Please eat what's eating me.
That's right. Yeah. Come on in. Let's do it. And sometimes it's because you produce a fruit or something that this thing wants later. And so by keeping that plant around, it knows it's going to get fruit. And then the fruit's eating the dispersed seeds. So you have this whole little kind of cycle there. And we talked about nicotine, tobacco. One of the interesting things I found is that it's not typically used as a poison. It's highly toxic in its pure form. And it was actually used as an insecticide from about 1690 until it was banned in the mid 1960s.
Why?
It's because it can cause you to get sick if you eat or ingest
Yeah, but any
nicotine in its highest level.
kind of insecticide probably you shouldn't be eating it.
No, but
I feel like nicotine would be a better one over the chemicals. I don't know.
It's pretty toxic in its pure form. Yeah. So it's cardiac arrest, respiratory paralysis. It's not a fun time.
You're talking about nicotine?
Nicotine, yeah. In its pure form, yeah. Yeah.
What do you mean by pure form? Like me going out there and just gnawing on a leaf?
Yeah, actually, green tobacco sickness. It's a type of nicotine poison caused by skin contact with wet tobacco leaves. And so people that harvest the tobacco leaves, they're handling them as that rubs on. They will begin to get a sickness like this, these kind of cardiac kind of issues or respiratory paralysis where your breathing isn't having trouble. So no, it is. We don't think about it that way because people go out and smoke it or whatever, but in its concentrated form, it's pretty.
Plants are
deadly.
wild. It's like rhubarb. It's like, don't eat that. If you eat it raw. Have you heard that if you eat it raw, it's supposed to be super poisonous? Am I the only one who's heard that? Maybe this isn't fact, but I've always thought that you can't eat rhubarb if it's not cooked. But the moment you cook it, it's like, it tastes like strawberries. Like,
It is so funny.
maybe.
Wow.
I know it's super bitter when it's raw.
Yeah, I think that's really just bitter. Yeah.
Can you?
But
Do you know? Can you eat it?
It's the leaves of the rhubarb that's poisonous.
But
not
a lot of times,
yeah.
if something's super bitter,
That's right.
excuse me, that means it could
means
be
you shouldn't, yeah.
poison.
Yeah.
Well,
Poisonous.
Brussels sprouts used to be bitter. And what, didn't
they
they
don't.
change? Yes.
They didn't. They're bitter.
They were
But-
bitter before,
They are-
and then they mutated into the Brussels sprouts we know
No,
today.
I'm sorry. The computer says no.
What?
They actually,
you are
it's
not
a-
looking that up on the computer right now. This is BS.
No,
That computer in your head is wrong.
Brussels sprouts, they have a particular protein, I believe, in them that certain people can taste. And
It's
other
like
people
cilantro.
cannot. No,
But
it's the same. That's the principle.
I
at
thought
play
there was
there.
a different
I
strand
There's
that
many different
that everyone
strains of
wore.
I bet you
There
that,
is,
and
but-
they probably grew them to grow out
Yeah.
that better taste. That's something that
That's
happens
something
a
that-
lot.
It still
right?
exists. Like people,
I
the
mean,
Brussels sprout. You don't.
yes, but like it was a
Yeah.
general, everyone was in agreement that Brussels sprouts suck.
I think people just cook them poorly.
Well,
But go to Fuzzy
Obviously.
Line. They have the best Brussels sprouts. Oh my
But yeah,
god!
I'm gonna look that up.
Shout
I'm gonna
out.
put that in the show notes and see what we got.
I can't wait till the
Brussels
mini
sprouts.
episode.
Yeah,
Can I?
we
That's
will.
the best Brussels sprouts.
So I'm going to ask the question that I think everyone is waiting for.
Oh,
If I eat apple seeds, will I have a tree grow out of me?
Yes,
Absolutely, yes.
not your bum.
Not again.
you can eat the apple seeds.
You,
can't you?
Well, they're also
one-
poisonous.
One should not.
But
You do have
it's a matter of dose.
to have
If it's,
cyanide,
but
right?
if it's
I mean,
like,
seeds you shouldn't eat them. But yeah, if you swallow one by accident, you're not going to probably
because somebody
keel over
was
and
saying,
die, but yeah.
someone was saying how you should just eat the whole apple, like the whole.
I mean,
And maybe
yes,
not the
but not the
stem.
seeds. You don't eat the seeds and the stem. You kind of toss those out. But not so you can eat the whole,
Plants
the
are
core,
crazy.
everything. Easy.
I
I
hate
don't
the
eat the
core.
seeds, but I'll munch
You
down
eat
the
the
whole
core?
thing.
No, I hate the core.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
See, who eats the core?
Joe eats the core.
You eat
He's
the
a weirdo.
core?
I do, yeah. The
Maybe
whole
that's-
thing, man. It's all good, man. Have fiber. Can't let it go. That's
Trees
cellulose.
out of
But-
the bum.
Yeah.
Can something grow in a human body? You're still actively living.
Like tapeworms?
No,
Is it-
like a
wait, is a
plant.
tapeworm a plant?
It's not, but the question was phrased, can something grow
Yeah,
inside of a
it's 'cause
human?
the
Right.
top's on. Like,
No, like
No,
a
no.
plant.
will
Can
I
a plant
have
grow?
something start growing
That's-
out of me if I eat the right seeds?
I've
No.
almost wondered if there's what is it called, diverticulitis? You know how seeds get stuck in the colon? I've actually thought, what if that was the conditions for sprouting? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. Could you have seeds
It's a
sprout?
fertilizer then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
the
Like-
environment's fairly acidic, right? So your stomach is really acidic. So you got to go. So you're probably breaking down whatever's left is probably not hardy enough or the right conditions to grow. There's no light. So if you're a plant, you will need light and you'll die pretty quickly.
Yeah. It's like Wally.
So, yeah. So I think I don't.
If it finds its way out.
Yeah.
You will. Where he's going
I
to
think
look
it'll be
for
a lot of hand wavium for the butt tree.
Hey, but didn't we just talk about in a different episode a tree monster or something?
Are you talking about Groot?
A tree monster?
Oh no, not Groot. I don't know. I'm sorry. Something. Oh no, it wasn't on an episode. It was just like a conversation.
That
Never
was,
mind.
yeah.
Never mind.
You're giving away secrets that shouldn't be given away.
Sorry, forget that. It's not even. Doesn't even make sense what I said. So
Plants
It's okay.
are-
We can just bleep it out when I say what it was.
Yes, that's right.
Plants are so wild. I feel like it's like you can eat these seeds, but you can't eat that seed, and you can eat this leaf. But if you eat this leaf, you're gonna have a rash. I always think about like back in hundreds of years ago, who was the first person to
Yes, that's
try the
right.
potato, or who's let's have a poison ivy salad. And that was a bad idea.
Yeah.
Like someone
Right,
had
right.
to try.
Someone
It's going to be fun
Yeah.
rolling this up and smoking it.
And my
Well, I think a lot
eyes.
of it, you took cues from other animals also,
Yeah,
right? So it wasn't
right.
probably just blind
True.
trying it. It was like that thing that looks like us eats it is probably okay. But that happened
Yeah.
with tomatoes because it's in the daily nightshade family. European, that was weird. It was like, because to them, this is a very poisonous plant. It looks similar. And so they would boil tomatoes for hours, like, right, to try to, so many hours. It was like, I was like, oh, this is pretty gross thing that we got out of it, because it was that fear that, can we eat this thing? Should we eat it? Is it safe? But that would be similar if you go to another planet and there's vegetation. How do you know what you're running out of food and you don't have potatoes to grow in your
You
Oh,
could
like
just
the
go-
Martian?
like the Martian?
Oh, I haven't seen
Yeah.
The Martian yet.
Oh,
What?
Yeah, check it out.
I
good.
know.
Yeah.
A friend was just telling
yeah, you
me.
gotta go see it. Yeah,
Like, you
gotta
have to
watch
see
it.
The Martian. I know.
It's like a botanist stranded on
Yeah,
Mars.
on
That's,
Mars.
you gotta.
I'm
But yeah,
gonna
how would
watch
you
it.
know what to eat or what not to eat? You would
Well,
start running. How much? Really, it's like that dose question. Take maybe a little bit,
Well,
and if your tongue goes numb, spit it out.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't
things
feel
like
like,
that.
couldn't
So.
you just do a skin test first?
That's a
If something's poisonous, it's going to react to your skin.
Yeah.
but it's also
Some
like
things, yeah, but some
it's
things may
also-
not and still be poisonous.
Yeah, but like it's
right?
a first
So-
sign.
Yeah, yeah,
like,
no,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right.
But it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
babies
Yeah, makes sense.
when you first are trying different foods
Mm-hmm.
and to see if they have any allergies to anything.
Yeah, they
you
only have-
introduce something.
Yeah. The bad thing is if you rub it on your skin still, you might have too large of a dose and go into, you poison yourself that way. So you do have to still.
if you're going to die, you might as well die that.
Let's not die. All right.
rubbing leaves on you.
So I have my,
I do that on the regular.
because we got to get the zombies. I teased earlier about my zombie survival plans.
Oh, you did? I don't remember this
Oh my
tease.
gosh. Yes, I did say.
Was
You
that
missed
this
it?
episode?
Yeah.
It was just, I said I had a list, and it showed you what list. Like, oh, I got a really fun list about zombie survival plants for
You
you
didn't
need to
hear
grow.
that?
Honestly, no.
So I broke it down into a couple categories, like food, medicinal, defense, and utility plants, and then maybe a few bonus ones. So I'll just run through it. Food crops had Jerusalem artichoke. That's a perennial. It can survive our harsh winters here. I got sweet potatoes. They're drought tolerant, calorie dense, grow in forest soil, low maintenance. Kale, super good. Once again, cold tolerant, lots rich in vitamin A, C, iron, fiber. People need fiber. People forget the fiber. Walking onion, rhubarb. We're talking about that just now. That's also high yield.
What is
survives regular.
walking onion? Is that
It's a perennial, like that little onion that you see, like the little
like green
wild
onion?
onions that
Oh,
grow around. Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah. They're cold hard. It spreads itself. Like you don't have to do any work. The leaves, the bulbs are all edible. So those are kind of food related crops that you could potentially get started here.
Wouldn't
And
potatoes be under this too?
potatoes, as in they're a little trickier to grow. They're not as.
I thought you just put them in the ground, they grow.
I think if we're
Is this not how the potatoes work?
Yes and no.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the sweet potatoes. You got the advantage that you can eat the leaves also.
Oh,
You know what?
Yeah. That should be.
I
But
feel
not potatoes. Do not eat potato leaves
I'm
because they're.
skeptical of olives right now. Everything like
I'm totally down to start licking things.
Don't eat potato leaves or tomato
so. I
leaves.
feel like if it's really a zombie apocalypse, I think you want to grow your food inside. Because who gets to run out to the garden?
Hopefully, whatever shelter you have, you've contained it like your outdoor space.
Be right back.
To grow plants inside adds another level of complexity because you would need power to run
That's
lights.
true.
Lights that then are on at weird times that
That's
then
true.
people will see it. So the plants are just outside in some secure space. Like when you secure your space, secure your yard space also, people, if you're surviving.
Yeah.
So you would have that built in that whole idea. I got medicinal plants, euthanasia, native to Midwest, so it grows around here.
What is this? Wait, what?
Euthanasia?
I don't know what that is.
Echinacea? Is it echinacea? Am I? Pronunciation. You can make tea. It's like immune, stimulant, infectious defense. Yeah, it grows all around. I think you can make tea.
Wouldn't
People.
peppermint tea then, or peppermint be a good one too?
Oh, peppermint.
Mint.
Mint would be
is good. Yes, mint.
Yeah.
The mint plant. It grows
And
pretty
it
wild.
grows crazy, yeah.
Digestive, mosquito repellent. Has a bunch of
Which you wouldn't want mosquitoes around here in the zombie apocalypse.
do not want mosquitoes.
I
no.
feel like things would go and get transferred.
They would. I don't know about them. Well,
Um,
different. That's different.
It depends on what kind of zombies. Are we talking 28 days later or?
Yeah.
I'm still picturing running out to the garden.
That's why you would have
potatoes,
your
70.
defense. You have your defense plants and barrier plants. Blackberry,
It's
dense. They form. They're cold hardy.
it's
Hawthorn.
plants versus zombies at that point.
Those rose.
Georgia's extent of video
So-
games.
You have all these kind of
Marijuana.
defense plants.
We definitely need to grow that
Marijuana.
very much.
We were on medicinal.
I mean,
Marijuana should be
You
on
would
there,
grow
right?
hops. Hops would be the
Hops?
plant to grow. Hops grow like a weed, which we had hops growing along the side of our house. We were planted there by myself for beer making. But you can use the hops for medicinal things, hop teas, but you can also use the vines, the hop vines, that they would have. So they're really nice for rope, fiber, tying things down, tying enemies down. I don't know, whatever.
I feel like no one should tie me down with hop vines. Man, someone tied me down with some plants.
Dogwood.
We're going into a whole other
I know.
area.
Dogwood, that's there.
Also,
good.
thorns for defense for zombies. I feel like I don't know.
They just
about
get
that.
tangled in them, though. Then you can
Yeah.
jab their heads.
It's like,
That's it.
oh, that hurt.
I think at some point we're not maybe worried about the zombies, but other people coming to steal your
true.
garden.
Okay.
So they got to run through now thorny patches. That's going to
Yeah.
give them away. They're going to make some noise, and then the zombies come and eat them, and then you got to deal with them.
Yeah, that's fair.
Lamb's ear I had as a beneficial plant.
Well, aloe vera.
Natural aloe vera. You could have
aloe
that.
vera is a
Mostly
great
inside.
one.
Yeah, you can grow that. That's a good one.
What is lamb's ear? What?
Lamb's ear is that
Pretty-
that little fuzzy
yeah.
one. It's there, but yeah, you can use it for natural bandaging materials, toilet paper alternative, muffles your footfall. It's one I have, but I see it grow. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna let that grow.
You
Never know.
use it for toilet paper.
You might need
He's
it.
not saying that he
you
has.
got no paper products. You got to get your lamb's ear.
He wasn't
And-
worried during the pandemic. He was like,
That's right.
I
was
got
good to
toilet
go.
paper at home now.
Chili peppers. Here's some chili peppers. That's on the other one. That's there. So you have that. Natural pest repellent, food preservation aid, and you can weaponize it.
Yeah.
As an irritant. Get that right in someone's eyes.
Straight in the eyes.
You got those, they're going through the bramble of your thorny patch, and then you squirt them in the eye with a little chili pepper.
Squirt him in the eyes.
They ain't coming back. And
We
then,
used to boil down peppers in our garden and make like a concentrate.
yeah.
So we would spray it around the garden, but I felt terrible because raccoons would get in it and they'd be like, "What is this?" And then I was like, "I'm terrible."
Oh,
They get them all over get them all over their little paws, and
I
then
know, they rub it in their eyes.
It
And,
is screaming. It was
oh,
really
my gosh.
Oh, that is horrible.
Those raccoons, they got a picture of you up. We see this person. This human here. It's a-
We attack at
yeah,
dawn.
yeah.
Leads
Get some
down her
hop vines and let's go to, and then tobacco. We talked about that already. That's a good
Wait,
one.
you already said that was poisonous.
That's why you want it. But it's a pest deterrent. You can barter with it. It's a potential painkiller.
If you're
I mean,
drying it out, right?
Yeah.
You can do a
have to
lot
have
with it. You want that kind of thing that you got trade value. Like people want a little smoke.
At this point, if cancer kills you, I don't think you care.
Right. No, I think
It's cancer or the zombies.
You just have fun. Chew it. You don't got to smoke it. You can just chew it and get a
You
little
still
bit.
get cancer from chewing.
Wait, after you dry it though, because you can't do the
Yes.
you can't do the leaf without it being dried.
I would dry it, yes.
Okay.
I would dry it.
Yeah, because it's a nightshade thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter if you dry it. The leaves, you can smoke them. You could probably.
But you need to dry them before you smoke them.
If you want to smoke them, you have to dry them.
Okay.
If you want to just chew on a leaf, you can just chew on it.
I thought you couldn't.
But I
Yeah.
thought it was poisonous.
Wait, yeah.
Me too.
Well,
Come on,
it's.
Joe.
I don't think you could just chew on.
I mean,
This is falling apart.
if
here,
you're
Jeff.
there, it's once again
If
dose
it touches
levels.
your
You
skin,
said it
though.
was
That was a lot
toxic.
of it. That's if you're harvesting tobacco leaf. That's your job. You're just out there in the tobacco plantation doing that. That's a yes. But dry it, have it dry, and then you can smoke it.
Give it a lick.
Yep.
Let's find out.
But people chew. You chew tobacco.
Yeah, but it's
Right.
also dried. No, it's not green.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if the drying process. Obviously, the nicotine stays around, so it's a concentration issue, somewhat. So, is it that if you handle too much, if you just put a little piece of tobacco leaf under your tongue and go about your business, that's probably not going to kill you. If you're like in the field just eating tobacco leaves,
Whole tobacco leaves,
digesting
rolling them up and
right.
just gnawing
How about-
down.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying that you could potentially take a little bit of leaf and
We're not
You know.
advising for just going and
No, do
biting
not do any of
green
this stuff.
tobacco leaves.
Unless
Yes.
there is a zombie
if
present.
there's, you can feed the tobacco leaves to the zombies. Maybe it kills them.
I don't want to do that. That means you got to get close to them.
They just feed it. You attach it to like a
You
little
want to
meat.
eat this?
To a little meat. Like, here you go. Throw it out there. Tobacco stick.
Honestly, I don't think your idea is not terrible. Like rubbing it on your skin, it's not the worst thing I've heard.
Yeah, I feel like that's a safe reaction first, and then it's science.
I
know
think
so-
there'll be a number of plants that you can rub on your skin that you probably shouldn't eat. Because the irritant, right? Because the skin is testing for an irritant, maybe a little different than what you're digesting. Because there could be just some compound that once it enters your body, it then gets broken down.
But you were
under-
saying lick it or put it in your mouth first.
It's just right, because most things that are harmful taste bitter.
Yeah.
So it's a taste thing. Your skin
Yeah.
can't taste. So really it's about when you taste it, the bitter compounds are usually harmful.
Yeah.
Generally, there's ones that aren't. But most of the time, if it has that bitter taste or has some kind of taste that you would taste it and think, oh, that's, so you're designed.
If you put it on your skin first and then you put it in your mouth, if after it passes the first test too is your mouth,
Yeah.
and then
I think
hand
the
first,
skin
then
test
mouth.
is, I don't know if it's the most, right. I think the mouth is going to be it anyway. So that's going to be it.
if you're
I
already
think
picking it off
Just
with
make
your
sure
fingers.
you have a field guide.
Right.
Keep a
That's
field
a field
guide.
guy. Yeah. Some country
Yeah.
wisdom.
Or
You have your
you
country
don't need
wisdom.
that. Just go ahead and start testing things.
No, people don't do that. Go
Making
actually.
your own book.
I will say in the apocalypse
eat it.
scenario, this is not we did an apocalypse episode, and we'll probably do another one. But go to the library. No one's checked out all
Yeah.
the books on the field guides and what's there. Those books exist there. So the reference section, you got nothing else to do. So just peruse the section and then get the books you need and go out. And there's a lot of wild edible plants that people have already figured out that you can eat. So don't reinvent the wheel if you don't have to.
Honestly, if the zombie apocalypse happens, I'm stealing from the library. I'm gonna find all those books,
you just
some
borrow.
atlases.
You borrow, you write,
I'm stealing them.
I borrowed these books, I'll return them,
No,
when
So
they're
do you-
recalled. When someone
Okay,
else
I'm changing the subject. I'm going to change the subject.
Yeah, get us back to plants.
Yes. So do you have lots of plants at your house?
I do. So I have my personal plants, which are like plants I've had for years, and I'm just attached to them. I've poured so much like attention into them that I refuse to get rid of them or ever sell them if someone's looking at them. But what's happening recently is people I don't think have the confidence to, especially with houseplants, to really troubleshoot what's going on. So people come into the store panicked. A lot of times it's plants from like memorials or funerals and that have significance, and they're just so desperate for help. They give them to me, and They end up in my little sunroom / place where I keep all my plants and try to control humidity and all that, trying to help revive them. So yes, I have a lot of plants. I would say 50% of the plants I have in my house right now are actually mine, and the other 50 are just trying to help.
So it's like a plant nursery,
Essentially, it's a hospital. Yeah,
hospital.
It's a plant hospital. It's actually slightly terrifying because these are.
But that's so cool.
Thank you. Yeah,
Man, I should bring you the succulent I killed.
Oh my. That's fine. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Where it's just there's no hope.
Yeah, it is.
But
it
oh
is
my
fun.
gosh, that's really interesting.
Yeah. It's definitely a level of pressure, especially.
Now, is that something that just happened because people came in or is that like something you thought of? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I don't think I didn't necessarily offer the service, but I think when you have a plant store, people trust you because you work with plants all day. But honestly, with plants, especially house plants, just so much of it is just confidence. And I call it plant intuition. It's troubleshooting the basics. It's water, it's sun, it's when I get a plant, the first thing I do is try to look into where did this plant come from to try to see if I can even mimic the environment that it would thrive in. So yeah, honestly, people just panic.
It's
and
like
bring
the
them to me.
plant whisperer.
Yeah, sometimes it's
Do you play the music? What's your favorite music to play for the plants?
bagpipe.
10 out of 10,
What kind of
baby.
question
10 out
is
of
that?
10. They love
There
it.
you go.
They're like, rock and roll. I'm telling
Or
you,
there's that one plant that's get me out of here.
it instantly dies. Explodes.
This is my out.
Oh my gosh. It's wild because I noticed that there's a lot of plants that are coming from like nurseries or they're giving them as like funerals or memorials, but they're not really that easy to take care of.
Yeah.
So it's so frustrating because people start connecting loved ones with plants.
Oh,
And then these plants aren't really made. They're not easy care plants. And then they're just dying and they're just so panicked.
And then you're already feeling
right.
so horrible.
Yeah, so we try to do what we can to save them. Yeah, I didn't necessarily advertise, but it's one of those things where if I can help, but I can't promise anything because plants there's so much to them. Some you can troubleshoot, you can look at the roots, they can be tricky.
Soil conditions, everything.
It is so
Yeah.
interesting, those connections that we make like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't help too.
Between
Sometimes like
us
the
and
pots are
plants.
wrong.
I
Like
just
you
think
get the
that's
plant and it's just
Oh,
like
I know.
this isn't even the right plant, the dirt. It's like they just threw it in something and it's
Who would do something crazy like
this is going to die. This is going to die.
Yeah.
But I tell people also about plants,
Yeah.
and because they're scared of them, I go, the plant doesn't want to die.
Yeah.
It's not out. Like you get the plant, it's not, you know what? I'm going to die. And I'll make this person, this human feel so bad. No, they actually want to, it's in their programming to live. And they're going to give you every effort to help them on their journey of life.
I'm going to push
And so
against
it's
this
kind
one. Orchids, they want death.
No, orchids want to, orchids are
want
difficult plants
death.
to grow.
Maybe you should try
And
the
or-
naked man orchid.
I
I
would
think
love
I
to
can
try
hook
the
you
naked
up.
man orchid.
Put it up at the shop.
If you want to bring
Sensor.
one there,
Yeah.
we
The thing about
tag.
orchids is that it's a fine balance between trying too hard
Yeah.
and then trying not enough, because they can be hardy. And I think people then get too crazy over watering. That's usually like the big one. I got to do it. But no, they actually don't. They have air roots, so they take a lot of their moisture from the air. But then they also need some care because to get the bloom, like you actually have the light, right? So we didn't talk about that, but plants and their light, they're very attuned to their light environment. And that's both quantity and quality. So there's different wavelengths in that light that they respond to. And so I think people then fluctuate between that. And so if the orchid plant never blooms, they go, I failed. But really, a plant is living its best life with the conditions you've given it. And so really understanding the complete plant's life cycle, because the vegetative state, you've done a great job, it's happy, but you're like, I never get a bloom off of it. And then you realize, that's because it needs this light quality and quantity.
So there are some plants that grow in darkness, right? Because there are some plants like in the ocean where it's dark, isn't there? Or is there no plants?
Yeah, I think you need some light at some level to do photosynthesis. And so I'm trying to think
So
if
in certain regions of the ocean, there are just no plants.
if too far down,
But there could be other, other living things.
And some of those plants grow really tall. And so they would adapt to very low light conditions. once again, that's that quantity and quality. So can you have a plant that can live with very poor or low quantity and quality of light? Yes.
Okay.
But you probably need some light, like some little. So you're right. There's probably a point in the ocean where you go deep enough, there is no photosynthetic organisms as we think of them. And traditionally, it's
but
plants,
it could still be plant life down there, just not.
There could be things with photosynthetic apparatus that they might be using it for different things or have evolved away from it to live to suit their environment. But then technically, are they still in the plant family? And you get some interesting kind of.
I'd say we drop a succulent down there and see what happens.
It's going to die.
Why torture the plant? Like, why?
Why cruel? We've gone down there to check on
I don't know. We'll find out.
A little unusual here. Like, what these plants ever do to you?
Listen, I just feel like
it is like, are you going to put the succulent,
there.
once again, you're putting the succulent in a water-rich environment where the idea of the succulent is
the water. Yeah. There's so much misinformation.
Yeah.
It's funny now owning a plant store. I don't know where some people, and I don't fault them because we read things, we don't fact check it. I'm even guilty of it. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But people will come in, they're like, I heard this about this plant, and it's so hard because I don't want to destroy them. But I'm like, I don't think that's actually fact. There was this article going around about like snake plants purifying the air, and people, which if you're a snake plant lover, great, but people were coming in and buying one single snake plant and asking like, hey, can I take this to my kid's nursery? I want to purify the air. And it's so hard to have this conversation of if you can buy 70, like maybe we're talking about enough to purify, but the amount of stuff that's already in that space. And there's so much misinformation, I feel like, out there. Even with sunlight, I hear so many people come in and say, I need a plant I could stick in an office. And I'm like, what is your window situation like? And there is no access to sun. It's just
how much light. Or then you got to have artificial light.
Exactly.
And then, so what's that? That goes to that light quantity and quality. What is that? Because, could you get a plant to live with very low light? Yeah, there's probably some that would do it, but you got to really navigate that. So.
Yeah, airplanes too. People get airplanes all the time, and they put them in offices, and still they have to have access to clean water, sun.
Right, yeah. All right.
I do have a question. Hold on. So with snake plants, I've heard that you can just plant the leaves. Is that a true thing, or is that one of those misinformation ones?
You mean as cut them and root them?
Yeah.
Yes. So I have had where I'll cut them, and then I usually, and please know a lot of what I say is just done by trial and error, observing and just trying things out truly by licking things, rubbing it on my skin. I did, so like even like a snake plant, or I have something called it's a lady of the night cactus, which blooms at night. I cut the leaf, I let it sit for about 24 hours to try to form a little bit of, and maybe you could speak to this, almost like a callus. I let it just sit for 24 hours. Then I'll wait, and then I'll get the like fibrous roots start forming. But this is all just by experiment. But I've got roots from like different cuttings. I don't know how
and every plant will do that.
Yeah.
So they are, depending on where their stem cells are at, how they actually will regenerate. So some plants are easier than others. You can air layer plants, so you can cut the stem, especially like trees or woody plants. You cut into it and you put a bunch of moss in there, wrap it up with saran wrap, and then it will start to form roots at that intersection there. So you still have a healthy plant, it's still getting nutrients, but then that part will start to root. So you can do a lot of things like that, but also they may not work. So don't probably, either you got a lot to trial and error, or you know how to do it, and this will work with this plant or it won't work with that plant, because you just can't use the same technique. Same thing will start in seeds. Some plants have particular requirements. You got to vernalize them. That means put them in cold for X amount of time to then tell them, dormancy is over. It's time to begin growing. You have plants that need to be burnt. The seed has to be. So these plants, that's what happens in forest fires, right? So forest fires are natural cycles that help clear out old growth and let new growth. Some of these seeds, they're in the ground and they need a good burn. And then once that happens, that's why you see these little sprigs if trees and things start to repopulate pretty quickly after a fire because they've just been waiting there for this event. And once it happens, it's our time to grow. Because if you're in a forest and all the trees, the canopy is already full, so trees are big, so they're getting all their sunlight, and what trickles down is very faint. You don't want to start growing in that situation. You want to clear that canopy and then start growing. So your trigger then becomes fire from this kind of event. So you have all these kind of ecological, and the plants are very attuned to their environment. That's why, I'm going to grow this plant here. And you need to think about where it came from. What was the soil like? Because you have to replicate that to grow it in its new spot. So it's one of these things that people don't think about. It's like, they're plants, they can grow them anywhere. But it's not true. Or you got a green thumb. No, I just put the plant in the correct place to 100%. Live. Because it wants to live. It wants to thrive. And you just got to nudge it along in that direction. It'll do the rest.
Don't get me started on poinsettias. So it drives me nuts because, first of all, people buy poinsettias and then they use them for Christmas and then they just throw them out, which drives me nuts because it's a living plant. But also, I can't tell you the amount of times I hear people taking poinsettias and sticking them outside when the majority of these plants are coming from trucks up from Mexico. So it's like they're coming from warmer climates, but then we're taking it. Why did it die? And somebody, you put it on your porch. It's snowing now. Come on, Betty.
Get it together.
You got to harden plants. If they're indoor plants, we're going to take them outside.
Yeah.
Just throw them on. You can't throw them under full sun. Like inside your house, you're not full sun. So when you put it out there, you're going to burn all the leaves. And that's a different conversation of why that happens. And happy to talk about it.
There's a lot we can talk about.
I mean, plant biology is fun. We didn't even talk about chloroplasts and photosynthesis.
I don't know what that is.
Okay, we're gonna put
we'll
a
put
pin
in the show
in
notes. We'll have to come back for that one. Do a part 2 on the plants. So let's thank our guest, Molly, again. Thank you for coming in. Go check out her plant shelf. We'll put that in the show notes.
Do you have an Instagram page?
I do. Piper. It's called The Piper and the Plant. We are on Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, check us out.
MySpace?
MySpace,
MySpace.
Got my plant home screen, my Taking Back Sunday music. And I just want to thank all of you for drinking this pickle beer, which was doing weird things to me while I was talking.
Everyone should go get
I could
beer.
not finish it.
I couldn't even really revisit it.
I've had like about 5 sips.
And I'm like sipping slowly through the episode. Usually when I'm not talking, that's because I took a sip, and it took me a while to process.
It's like bubbling every time I took a sip. It was like
sizzled my tongue.
It's very briny. If you drink brine, this is what it would be like. All right.
Funny joke. This was just Brian.
It's really just Brian. You got me, Joe.
You got Nick.
You got Nick. You got Georgia.
Bye.
You're not even going to sing.
Our guests again. And
thank you, Molly.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
And we've gone down some
plant hole.
Photosynthetic holes.
What is the photosynthetic?
Y'all stay safe out there.
Bye-bye.
Love you.